Hey everyone, this is Patrick, and it is time for another edition of Heavy Therapy. As you see, because you clicked on the video, this is another contest entry, and this is to celebrate Mark G with the C's 2,000 subscriber mark. Mark G with the C loves, he loves metal, rock. His early days in his channel, he kind of showed his CD collection, he showed VCLT. He did some of his favorite albums from different years. His favorite genre, if I can speak based on what he usually shows, based on his reputation, is going to be death metal. And I'm going to show you all death metal in honor of Mark G with a C. So the contest instructions were to show, the theme was see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. So for the See No Evil, he wants us to show two albums that have covers that just make us want to listen to those albums every time we see them. The second question, or the second prompt, is to, and the Hear No Evil prompt is to show two albums that you will defend as basically perfect albums that you sometimes hear contrary opinions about, passionately so. Going to show an old one and a new one, a brand new one. The third prompt was to speak no evil, and this is all about showing two albums that you bought or that you checked out or that you re-listened to thanks to seeing Mark G with the C talk about said albums. So let's begin. First up, Mortal by Necrot. This is one of my favorite album covers of all time. The artist here is Merold von Hasteren, who also did the cover art for Mortuous. He's done a lot of artwork, but not always cover art for a bunch of bands. But this just makes me want to listen to it every time I see it. And I told myself I'm not going to collect a lot of flags, but I am going to buy flags of my favorite albums if I come across them. So I even have a recently purchased really, really huge flag of that album. Nice. Yeah, just love this album. There are different types of different types of themes that make you think of, that make you evoke death metal. This is one of them for me. Right? First of all, the title is Mortal. We are all mortal, and death metal sings about that by its very nature. And then sort of embracing it, shedding your own skin, is a really not unique, but you don't always see that type of artwork in death metal. It's taking the skin off other people, so to speak. Well, quite literally too. But this just evokes death metal. It evokes what this album is trying to make you feel. You are mortal. You have skin. You are flesh and bones. Another album that, when I look at it, just sums up one of my favorite styles of art that makes me think of my favorite subgenre of metal, death metal. And this is actually the new Morbific from last year, Squirm Beyond the Mortal Realm. I'll let you take that in some more. This is the artwork's done by Chase Slacker, who's the guitarist of Mortiferum, or Mortiferum, however you say it. But love this, and that could actually been in another category, in the next category, because a lot of people talk about how this album's production is bad, and I think it's fucking awesome. And speaking of, I purchased this as well. So yes, look at that. I love their logo too, but love this cover art. I love how unsettling it is, but kind of in like a abstract or vague way. It's unsettling. You don't want to walk through that canyon, through that abyss, through that landscape. You don't exactly know why, but it's something feels off. And that's exactly what I want to feel when I am listening to death metal. Okay, next up is Hear No Evil. These are going to be two albums that I consider perfect, and I won't hear otherwise. So, first up is Death with the Sound of Perseverance. This was their last album. It came out in 1998. It is quite progressive, quite long. The 2 LP. Two songs on all sides except for side C, which has 3 songs. Painkiller is a Judas Priest cover. That also pisses people off. So I'm not a big fan of covers either, but that cover rules. So yeah, this is probably, and I'm only saying that because I'm going to do a death album ranking eventually. I don't really care about spoilers, actually. That's not what this scene and community is for, right? Either you'll watch it again or you won't. So yes, this is my favorite death album, The Sound of Perseverance. I don't always prefer, death metal bands to become more progressive, and that's actually very hard to pull off for my taste, even though I do like progressive death metal. But this is just, I don't know. I hear so many bands now try to sound like this. I hear Chuck just always pushing himself to the nth degree. Who knows what would have became of Death after he, if he didn't have an untimely passing shortly after, or I'm not exactly sure how far after this album he passed away. Not very long, no more than 2-3 years, maybe even only a year or so. Yeah, some of my favorite Death songs on here: Spirit Crusher, Flesh and the Power It Holds. They're long songs, so they're also progressive in that sense. Death, The Sound of Perseverance, I often see this ranked as people's least favorite Death album, and they are crazy. Next up, a brand new one, makes it kind of exciting because it's on my mind a lot right now. It is one of my favorite albums of the year. Horrendous, with Ontological Mysterium. And this band has been gaining listeners and maybe losing listeners as they have progressed. So why am I putting this here? Well, some people were a massive fan of their HM2 Drenched debut album, and then they kept getting less HM2 in the guitar tone and more progressive and technical and even sort of kind of a show-offy to some people. Not to me, but show-offy to some people. And they have heavy metal influence, so they really progressed beyond sort of straightforward, old-school death metal worship from their debut. It has culminated so far in this this album from 2023, Ontological Mysterium. Yeah, so people are just kind of in different camps with this album. People are in different camps regarding how much variety there are in their vocals. Some think it's kind of too crazy, not exactly guttural enough to be death metal. I love this album, and yeah, I think it's a 10 out of 10. On my first listen, I think I felt like it was like a 9 because I wanted just more music. It's quite short, but note for note, I can't fault this record at all. It's going to be one of my favorite albums of the year, and love this album. And yeah, Horrendous actually has only gotten better and better, with maybe one exception through their career. So I literally think this is their best record, and then probably Idol right before this in 2018 was their second best record. So I evidently am a fan of how they have progressed, and this is just amazing. Okay, Speak No Evil. This is just sort of a tribute, a thank you, a tip of the hat to Marc G with the C's channel. I'm going to show you 2 albums that I purchased, not directly because of Marc, but old school veteran of the scene, knows good death metal, knows good thrash. So when I was in particularly a thrash mood, I remember thinking that Marc G with the C, that he had a list out early on 5 years ago, and I went back through that and wanted to check out some of them. So Tip of the hat to Marc G with the She for always pushing creators' extreme aggression. This is just, yeah, one of the best creator albums. And Stream of Consciousness, first song, Extreme Aggressions, quite great creator. One of my favorite thrash bands, and thanks Marc G with the C for always promoting that album. Another, this time with the death metal band. So I did say I would show only death metal, but creator, you know, Extreme Aggression. Creator is not quite death metal, but you know, rules are made to be broken. So finally, Deicide, self-titled. Weird to hold the CD like that. Okay, Deicide's self-titled. Deicide's a hard band for me to get into. They are quite extreme, and Glenn Benton is acerbic and absolutely madman, and he's insane. And if that's what this sounds like, and eventually you start wanting to hear death metal that actually sounds like this, and that's where I'm at. And Marc G with the C always shows this album. This is one of his favorite albums of 1990. I believe it was his third favorite from 1990. So yeah, kept giving Deicide a chance, and they have finally clicked with me as well. So thanks again to this contest opportunity, and congratulations to Marc G with a C. Check out his page. Nice guy, a funny guy, and is just a nerd like all of us here in this vinyl metal community. So yeah, like-minded people need to stay together. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, and remember to stay heavy.